Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. This podcast is dedicated to EAS employees of the U.S. Postal Service and members of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. So, pour yourself a cup of coffee and join us for today's episode. And now, here's your host, Robert Wakefield.
Good morning, Branch 32, and good morning, Naps family, wherever you are listening. Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. It's presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. Appreciate them so very much. I'm your host, Robert Wakefield, president of Branch 32. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. All right, we got a show today that's really going to be interesting. I think you're going to enjoy it. So let's go ahead and let's pour that first cup. Want your savings to do more than just sit there? With a money market certificate from the Nashville Post Office Credit Union, you'll earn competitive returns while keeping your money safe and sound. You'll enjoy higher dividends than traditional savings, flexible terms to match your goals, and it's federally insured to give you peace of mind. It's smart, secure, and built for postal professionals who plan ahead. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union. People helping people since 1925. Our first cup this morning is a reflection on episode 63, where I did an episode, Don't Quit the Postal Service. And in that episode, I talk about things that trying to encourage everyone to hang in there, basically. But I received an email that made me start thinking secondly towards that. And we're going to talk about today. This episode is going to be called When the System Breaks the People. Now, this episode is not going to be about theory. It's not going to be a motivational pep talk. It's the lived reality of thousands of frontline managers across the Postal Service. Now, this listener wrote in a story that it's painfully familiar. It's a story of decades of service, decades of sacrifice, and a system that has slowly stripped managers of authority, dignity, and even their health. So we're going to be very plain in today's episode of the Saturday Cup of Joe. Now, this didn't start yesterday. This is not something that's new. This listener stated that they were an EAS supervisor starting in 1999. And from day one, the message was clear. You're on your own. The first station that this manager went to, the acting manager that was there had a heart attack. And so that made this listener work 14 hours a day, 6 days a week for 10 months, and he was all alone. He was reassigned to another station and then again to another station where the long hours and no days off were familiar. In his first 5 years, he says he can count his days off on one hand. Now, folks, that's not dedication. That's exploitation. And here's the hard truth about that. This is nothing new. This has been going on a long, long time. And the listener also said this: the new crisis is no authority, but all the accountability. And this is how he laid it out. He said, the trend today is not the hours. The trend today is that frontline managers have no control. And he's right. Recent reporting backs this up. EAS employees feel undervalued, and they're blamed for systemic failures, including the USPS's multi-billion-dollar losses. Supervisors also warn of a mass exodus because other federal agencies offer better pay and far less chaos. And the pay has been somewhat stagnant also. Although we've been getting raises, and that's better, but it's not what it should be. And here's the kicker. HQ keeps tightening control while removing every tool managers need to succeed. And here's what the listener listed. You can no longer hire. You can no longer vet. You can't terminate during probation. You can't remove resignations from your roles. It's difficult to adjust workload and work hours. You can't repost jobs or change schedules. You have a zero discretionary budget, and you can't talk to support because when you email, you're just ignored. Yet you're still held accountable for hours, staffing, overruns, workload, compliance, performance, customer experience. What's the problem is it's accountability without authority. And that is the most toxic leadership structure possible. And it's not just by accident, it's throughout the entire Postal Service. So there's a human cost to this. The listener now is on stress leave. Not because he's weak, and not because he's uncommitted, but because the system has become unmanageable. He writes this: I am completely stressed to the point where I cannot think rationally with regard to my job. If I see myself going back, I cannot guarantee that I would not get fired or worse for losing it. It galls me that I've abandoned my team, but I cannot contribute to the delinquency of higher level management. Now that is what moral injury looks like. This is what happens when people with integrity are forced to operate inside of a system that no longer reflects their values. This listener is not alone. EAS employees across the country report that the constant Zoom meetings that prevent them from doing actual work is a hindrance to them. The headquarter directives that show no understanding of station-level reality is another issue. A culture that blames managers for problems they have no power to fix. It's not a staffing issue. It's not a training issue. It's a structural failure. And sometimes we all get to a breaking point. This listener lists 4 reasons why he had to step away. Number 1, he cannot get staffing. That's bad. If you can't get the people to do the job, that is a problem that needs to be addressed. And NAPS has been screaming this at the top of our lungs for a number of years now. The second thing he listed was he cannot make decisions on new hires. The system where you're assigned the next one on the list, you have no control over that. There's no interview process anymore to speak of. It's a system that really needs to be revamped. The third thing he listed was he cannot correct clerk staffing to match functional changes. And that's a union issue. Unions have way too much control over what managers can and cannot do. And this fourth one really bothered me. He wrote, he is ignored and harassed by his IMPU, the very person who is supposed to support him. Now that's true, folks. I've heard several. It's not with everybody. Let's don't throw everybody under the same bus. But there are a number of issues with support. If you are calling the district office and they don't pick up the phone, what kind of support is that for the field? You know, a postmaster friend of mine and I were talking on the phone one day, and she said, you know what would be great is if we had a mystery shopper program for the district. Because when you think about it, the field is the district's customers. Without the field, the district has no jobs. That's true. But to be unsupported by your boss and being harassed for things that go wrong, that's a recipe for disaster. It's not a job. It's a trap is what it is. And here's the heart that hits the hardest. He says, he wrote this: I have integrity, and that's why I cannot contribute to the delinquency of what is going on at the post office. That is what the Postal Service risks losing. Not just supervisors or managers, but they're losing people with integrity, the ones who hold the place together. So what do we do? Well, this is where leadership matters. It goes back to my don't quit the post office. It's where leadership comes in. I'm not talking about HQ leadership or district leadership. I'm talking about our leadership. The leadership of the people who still care about craft, the mission of the Postal Service, the communities that we serve. So here's what I want every EAS employee listening to hear. Number one, your stress is not a personal failure. It's a predictable response to an impossible system. Number two, your integrity is not the problem. It's not the reason you're breaking, because the system no longer aligns with your values. The third thing I want you to hear is you're not alone. Your story is echoed across the country in every district and every level of EAS. Number four, we must keep telling the truth, because silence is how dysfunction survives. And number five, we must keep advocating loudly, consistently, and together. NAPS has been raising alarms about retention and pay and structural dysfunction for years. The data is there. The stories are there. The consequences are here today. So where do we draw the line? If you're listening to this and your chest is tight because this sounds like your life, or if you're exhausted, discouraged, or questioning your future, if you've been carrying the weight of a broken system on your back, here is your call to action. Number one, speak up. Tell your story. Share it with NAPS. Share it with members of your branch. Share it with fellow supervisors. Your voice is evidence, and evidence is power. Number two, document everything. Now, this is a big one. Document every ignored email. Document every denied request. Document every staffing shortage. Document every directive that contradicts with reality. Documentation is your shield. Number three, support each other. This is huge. EAS employees survive through community, not hierarchy. Check on your peers, share resources, stand together. When I was a postmaster, I had my go-to people that I could call and I could complain and we could share and we could figure out things together. Support each other. That's number three. Number four, protect your health. Stress leave is not a weakness, it is wisdom. You cannot lead others if the system is destroying you. It does no good. And finally, refuse to normalize dysfunction. The moment we accept this as just the job, the fight is over. And we're not done fighting. To the listener who wrote in, your courage in stepping away is not abandonment. It is self-preservation. It is integrity. And it is a warning signal to every leader who still believes this system is sustainable. To everyone listening, your story matters. Your health matters. Your integrity matters. And together, we can push for the change this organization desperately needs. Episode 63 was intended to be an encouragement, and it still is. I still don't want you to quit the Postal Service. You've worked too hard. But I understand the realities of it too. And I appreciate the listener who wrote in and sent me his story. Send me your story at SaturdayCupOfJoe@gmail.com. I won't use your name, and I'd love to hear your story because we're all in this together, and we need to stick together to make the Postal Service the best place to work that we possibly can. All right, that's the first cup. Let's go ahead and pour that second cup. Have you visited our website lately? The Nashville Post Office Credit Union's website makes banking easy. You can complete transactions, you can apply for some loans, and now you can explore our brand new events page created to honor our 100th anniversary. Stay connected with updates, celebrations, and special member-exclusive events. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram to stay even more connected. Visit npocu.org. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union, people helping people since 1925. Okay, so I went a little long on the first cup, so our second cup will be extremely short. I think I said it was episode 63. I think it's actually episode 64 that says don't quit the post office. So if you want to go check that out, you can do that as well. Appreciate the listener writing in. And again, I would love to hear from you. I would love for you to share this with all of your friends, all of your EAS friends, members of NAPS, and members of the other organization. That's fine. Everyone needs to hear what this listener wrote. And I thought he did an excellent job of pointing out that the job is not what it used to be. And we've totally recognized that. Well, I just want to encourage you to hang in there and do the best you can and use NAPS as your crutch, something that you can lean on. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast, presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. Like I said, share it with all your friends, tell your neighbors, phone your congressman. You don't have to do any of those things. Do some of those things. You don't have to tell your congressman necessarily, but that's okay. Anyway, so that's going to do it for today. Thanks so much for listening to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. And remember, every great weekend starts with a great cup of Joe. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. Please note that the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Robert Wakefield and do not necessarily reflect the views of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. We welcome your questions and comments, so send those to SaturdayCupofJoe@gmail.com.